In the year 1118, a group of men broke into a philosopher's bedroom in the middle of the night and castrated him. His crime? Falling in love with his student. But here's the thing. Even after they took everything from him, he and that woman spent the rest of their lives writing each other's letters so passionate that people are still crying over them 900 years later. This is the story of Héloïse and Abelard. Okay, so today I have mostly chaos. All of it is chaos. And today's chaos is a medieval love story that is so tragic and beautiful and so absolutely unhinged that it's been making people cry for over 900 years. I am talking about Héloïse and Abelard, the ultimate forbidden love story that proves medieval people were just as messy and dramatic as we are today, just with worse health care and religious guilt. This story has everything, which makes it very exciting and sad, but it has genius scholars, forbidden passion, a secret pregnancy, a secret marriage, violent revenge, and letters so passionate they'll make you question every relationship you've ever had. Want to finish because this story gets wild. Chapter 1, Two Geniuses in Medieval Paris. I'm going to set the scene. It's early 1100s Paris. The city is basically the intellectual center of Europe right now. They have scholars, philosophers, theologians, all these brilliant minds gathering to study and debate. And then there is Père Abelard, one of our main characters that we are speaking about today. This man was a legend, not in my St. Valentine's type legend, but this man is a legend. He genuinely one of the smartest philosophers of his time. He was already famous. He had students all over Europe coming to study with him. He was kind of insufferable about how smart he was. He knew he was brilliant and he let everybody know he was one of the smartest people in the room, so to say, but I guess if you got it, you flaunt it. But anyway, he's in his late 30s. He's at the peak of his career, and he was also a clergyman, which meant he was supposed to be celibate. Keyword on supposed to be. Now, enter Héloïse, our second character we're going to be talking about today. Person, character, these are real people. Héloïse is younger when they meet. She was probably in her late teens, early 20s. She was brilliant. She was really smart. She was genuinely one of the most educated women in all of Europe at this time. She could read Latin, she could understand philosophy and theology. She was literate in areas where most women in Europe at the time couldn't even have any type of education in. So she was one of the smartest women, smartest, most educated women in Europe around this time. So many women weren't even allowed to read and do things but we're gonna keep going. Her uncle was a powerful chairman, Canon of Notre Dame. He was very connected, very influential. He was incredibly proud of his niece, and he wanted the best education for her. So what does he do? If you know the smartest man in Europe and you want your niece to be highly educated, what do? He hires Abelard. The Abelard. That's how you know he had connections. Smartest man, had people coming from all over the world to learn from him. And he was like, I'm going to hire this gentleman to teach my niece. I want to tell this story right. The most famous philosopher in Paris to teach and tutor Héloïse. And this is where everything falls apart. Because what happens next, even medieval people recognize it was wrong. But it happened anyway, and the consequences would destroy both of their lives. I wish I was a better storyteller to tell this story, but if you stick with me, I want you to feel the heartbreaking pain of this love story. Let's get into the full story now. The forbidden romance. So Abelard moved into Héloïse's home to be her tutor. So her uncle moved him in to be her tutor. And I need you to understand everything that happens next. So stay with me. They fell in love. And this was not, oh, I'm just attracted to you kind of love. This was, we can't stop thinking about each other. We're writing poetry about each other. We're completely obsessed kind of love. And here's the thing that's important. Héloïse was wasn't some helpless victim in this. She was brilliant. She knew what was happening. She initiated some of it. The letters she wrote made it very clear, crystal clear, that she was an active, willing participant in this relationship. She wasn't coerced. She chose Abelard. So they were sneaking around the household, finding times and places to be alone together. And because they were both intellectuals, they were probably having conversations that were just intimate, just as their physical relationship. They were connected on every level, intellectually, emotionally, and physically. Now, eventually, Héloïse became pregnant, and that's when things got absolutely real. Abelard immediately wanted to marry her. In his mind, the marriage would make everything, it would solve the full problem. He said it would be scandalous. Obviously, a famous philosopher marrying one of his students, that's whatever. And she was a churchman's niece, but he was saying at least it would make it legit. She was already pregnant. He just wanted to get married. He just wanted to make it still would have been scandalous, but he was like, at least it'll be somewhat okay. But Héloïse said something that will haunt this entire story. She didn't want to marry him. This doesn't mean that she wasn't fully in love with him. She just did not want to marry him. And like I said, not because she didn't love him, but because she understood something about power and the reputation Abelard apparently had. So she basically told him, she said, if we get married, it will destroy your reputation. We'll be seen having compromised your integrity for a woman. Your career, your reputation, everything you've built will be destroyed. And she said, I refuse to be the reason that happens. She said she'd rather be his mistress than his wife if it meant protecting his legacy. Héloïse! The woman understood optics. That's basically what I got of it. She understood reputation management 900 years before social media, before all these crazy things that came about. She understood the background, what he represented, who he was, to the people, to Europe, to everyone. So she said no, she wouldn't marry him. But Abelard, being the romantic and impulsive person he was more than likely panicking at this time because, like I said, her uncle was a churchman. He was a highly respected figure in the church and throughout Europe, and he got his niece, the churchman's niece, who was supposed to be his student, pregnant. So I'm pretty sure there was some panic in there. But eventually he did convince Héloïse to marry him secretly. I mean, it was super secret, like very. So they basically thought if no one found out, they kept it private, they could handle it. They thought they could keep the pregnancy quiet. I don't know how, but they thought they could keep the pregnancy quiet and just kind of manage it. So they got married in secret and almost nobody knew about it. But as we know, not all secrets stay secrets. Héloïse's uncle found out. What he did next, I need to warn you, it's brutal, it's violent, and it changes so much. It changes their lives, it changes everything. The uncle's revenge. Héloïse's uncles found out about their marriage and he was furious. I mean, not like disappointed father furious. He's talking about, I'm going to destroy the man who touched my niece furious. And his problem wasn't just that Abelard had seduced his niece. The problem was that Abelard had secretly married her without permission, without involving the family. So for Héloïse's uncle, this was about honor and the family's reputation. It was more of honor for him. Yeah, he touched it. He said, you went against everything, married my niece, didn't ask anybody, didn't do anything. But this was about the fact that Abelard basically publicly humiliated him and he wanted full revenge. So the uncle decided to take revenge. He decided to do it in the most brutal way possible. He hired a group of thugs and not just some regular guys. He hired skilled professional thugs, and he sent them to do something horrific. One night they broke into Abler's bedroom. They castrated him. Yes, they castrated him. This is the real historical story, and this is what actually happened. I need you to sit with that for a moment. In the year 1118 in Paris, a man was violated in the most brutal and permanent way possible as revenge for a secret marriage. Honor was a big thing back then. This wasn't just physical violence. This was complete and total destruction of Abler's ability to have a normal life. It was a statement, and that statement was, you will never be a normal man again. You will carry this forever. And the medieval world basically accepted this as justice. Like, people were angry at Abler, but they understood the uncle had evened the score. This is what happens when you seduce and secretly marry a powerful man's niece. Abler's life, as he knew it, was over. Now, I know a lot of people may say, well, that's the end, right? That's the end of the story. No, that's not the end of the story. Because nobody expected this, because after all of that, after the violence and humiliation and everything, their story wasn't over. It was basically just a new chapter for them. The aftermath: trapped in monasteries. The castration, Abler's reputation obviously was destroyed. He couldn't continue teaching. He couldn't stay in Paris. He couldn't be a normal scholar anymore. So he did the only thing he could do. What do you think he did? He became a monk. And then he basically forced Héloïse to become a nun. Now, Héloïse did not want to become a nun. She did not want to be a nun. And she said so later, and she made it very clear that she did not want to be a nun. She said she became a nun because Abler became a monk, because she couldn't stand to be separated from him, but also because she literally had no other choice. What else could she do? She was a woman whose life had been destroyed by a scandal. The convent was the only place for her. Now, I'm going to connect something. If you watched my love sickness video earlier, you know basically what's happening. This is love sickness treatment. This is love sickness treatment in action. The castration, isolation, the forced separation. They're doing everything medieval doctors prescribe to cure love. And spoiler, just in case you didn't catch it, it basically is not working. So they both were trapped in religious communities, separated, unable to be together, and Abel was now completely unable to fulfill any aspect of their marriage, which in medieval terms basically meant the end of any hope of reconciliation. So he couldn't fulfill his marriage duties. He wasn't a philosopher anymore. His reputation was ruined. He couldn't be with the woman he loved, and he betrayed a very powerful man. He was at the bottom. He hit rock bottom. But here's where the story gets beautiful and also heartbreaking. They started writing letters to each other, and you can go read those letters if you'd like. These were passionate, deep, intellectual letters about love, faith, and suffering and desire. Oh my gosh. They wrote about theology, emotion, and the nature of love. They poured their entire hearts into these letters. They poured their souls into these letters. These letters are the reason we're still talking about them 900 years later. And what Héloïse wrote back to Abler is revolutionary and heartbreaking. And she was an absolute savage, even though she was forced into this nunnery. I'm going to tell you what she said. The letters and the passionate writing. Abler wrote to Héloïse about how they were together in spirit, even though they couldn't be together in body. He was a philosopher, so he got philosophical. He tried to convince her that their separation was actually a gift from God, that they were being called to a higher form of love. He was trying to basically spiritualize their relationship. He was trying to make the pain mean something. But Héloïse wrote back, and she basically said no. She said, "I'd rather be your mistress in hell than your queen in heaven. I don't want spiritual love. I wanted you. I wanted our life together." She was fully honest in a way that was revolutionary for her time. She didn't pretend to be like resignated in her fate. She wasn't pretending to be content with like, okay, we're in this spiritual love because they were separated and things like that. And she didn't like it at all. She said becoming a nun didn't change how she felt about him. She said she performed all her religious duties, but her heart wasn't in it. She said she would rather have Abler in sin than lose him in righteousness. That's deep. These letters are sad if you go read them. I'm laughing because I'm hoping. These letters are something. They are deep, passionate. I don't know if anybody have that type of love today. I'm pretty sure some people do. Some people probably do. But, you know, This woman was calling out her lover for trying to spiritualize their suffering instead of acknowledging the raw, real pain of it. That is one of them. I appreciate that she didn't fall, because I feel like a few things when it came to her, yes, she was a willing participant in this relationship, but I feel like he still kind of tried to like he forced her to be a nun. He kind of forced her to be like, okay, we'll get married secretly. And I feel like this was one of the moments she was standing up and saying, no, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that you're not going to force me into trying to see that our love is spiritualized because we're separated and God is trying to turn his love into something else. I appreciate her for that, being honest and real about it. So one of the most famous lines from her letter is this: God knows I never saw anything in you except yourself. I wanted simply you, nothing of yours. Not for me the bonds of matrimony, not for me the marriage settlement. It was not my own pleasure and wishes I sought to gratify, as you well know, but yours. She said, I didn't want money, I didn't want status, I didn't even want the legitimacy of marriage. She said, I just wanted you. You go, girl. Maybe I should have been a philosopher. No, I shouldn't. I asked enough questions as it is already. That'd probably make it worse. But and Abelard, who had basically told her to be content with this spiritual love, he couldn't help it. He started writing back letters matching her passion. Tell the truth, Abelard. You're a philosopher. You're a theologian. Just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. He told the truth. He wrote back letters that matched her passion. The letters became this beautiful, tragic back and forth where they were pouring out everything they couldn't say to each other in person. These letters were so intense, so passionate, so honest about desire, love, and regret that they became famous. Their letters back and forth to each other became famous. This should have been the origin of Valentine's Day, not those. You could have switched it for them saints if you watched that one. The other one I did. Oh, I'm not tearing up. I'm really not. I had some in mind. They circulated through Europe, and people were reading them and being moved. Even now, centuries later, people are reading these letters and cry because they're so raw and real, and they're heartbreaking. These letters are so heartbreaking. Go read these letters if you have time. Google, type in, put in, if whatever, your phone, your computer, your tablet. After you finish this video, type in Héloïse and Abelard's love letters. Go read them. Tell them if they don't make you feel something. Something's wrong with you. Anyway. So we come to the end of our story. Together in death. Abelard died in 1142. He was buried at a monastery. Héloïse, she lived another 21 years. So that was 21 years of her being a nun, running the covenant, performing her religious duties, and she absolutely never stopped loving Abelard. When she died in 1164, she asked to be buried next to Abelard, and they were. And they were. Their bodies were moved a lot over the centuries. They were always kept together. Today, they're buried side by side in this cemetery, which I'm not going to try to pronounce because I know I'm going to butcher it. It is in Paris. You can go visit them in that cemetery. I also believe that is where my Parmentier gentleman with the potatoes are buried. I told y'all about that in my potato video. You can go visit them, and a lot of people still do. And people leave flowers on their grave. If you go visit Parmentier, you can leave a potato on his grave. Many people do. They spent most of their lives apart. They were punished and separated and forced into religious communities they didn't choose. But in death, they finally got to be together. That just makes me so... It's a heartbreaking story. It is. The letters is what will get you in this story. You may say, oh, a teacher fell in love with a student, and you may be getting, no, this is I'm going to keep going. And their letters survive. Their passion survived. Their connection survived even in death. And 900 years later, people are still reading these letters and crying. People are still moved by their story. People are still thinking about what it means to love someone so completely that you're willing to sacrifice everything for them. It's a beautiful story. It's getting long, so let's wrap it up. So next time someone tells you long distance relationships are hard, just remember Héloïse and Abelard were separated by castration, forced religious vows, vows, and decades of physical distance. And they still never stop loving each other, which means you say the distance between us, I'm talking about now, you say the distance between us was the thing that wasn't working. You're not trying hard enough. But anyway, I'm not even getting into your relationship if that's what you do. If you're in a long distance relationship and you feel like they love you and you love them back and y'all doing everything y'all got to do with each other and make sure each other good, fight for it. Go read those letters and you fight for it. If they doing you wrong, don't stay in that relationship. That's bad. That's toxic. We don't like toxic relationships over here. We don't do that. Their love couldn't be cured from bloodletting. It couldn't be cured by ice bath. It couldn't be cured by isolation or monasteries or even castration. Because real love, the kind of love that changes you at a fundamental level, doesn't just go away because society says it should. Real love, real love. Something popped in my head. You know, it's a lot of weird things going around right now. But anyway, thank you for watching my intellectuals, my very smart, passionate, loving people. Thank you so much. If this medieval tragedy destroyed you like it destroyed me, because it most definitely hurt me a little bit, please like and subscribe for more historical chaos and heartbreaks. And let me know, do you think maybe they should have fought a little harder? I don't know how much harder they could have fought, but if you think they should, let me know in the comments. Or was their sacrifice noble to you? You know, you might think that. And what would you have done in their situation? That is one I want to know. What would you have done in their situation? Also, if you watched my last week video, what love sickens, now you know what I was talking about when I was talking about Héloïse and Abelard. I mentioned them in that video, but here's this video. This is proof that medieval cures didn't work for love. I mean, you should know that now, but medieval cures don't work for love. If you missed it, please go back and watch it. It all connect. So until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, sometimes the greatest love stories are the saddest ones. Peace.